past 2 decades, South Korea walks among the giants of developed countries. Meanwhile, in 2021, Thailand still crawls. Pun intended. Also, we crawl because tear gas and rubber bullets fill the air. Now, to understand the difference between South Korea and Thailand today, let's take a look at the development of the two countries over the past 70 years. In the 1950s, South Korea was an underdeveloped country with an agrarian economy surviving on foreign aid, not unlike Thailand. From the 1960s to the 1980s, the country was ruled mostly by dictators, not unlike Thailand. There were abuses of human rights, political oppression, and massacres of activists and dissidents, not unlike in Thailand. There were military coups, not unlike Thailand. They had elections, but those elections were dubious, not unlike Thailand's 2019 elections. In 1987, the last of South Korea's dictators stepped down. They then held the first direct presidential election in 16 years. In 1988, Thailand's General Prem Tinsulanont stepped down, making way for democracy. But in South Korea, a military nominee, General Roh Tae-woo, won the 1988 election, proving that the military's power was still entrenched in politics and society. Meanwhile, in Thailand, we had a military coup in 1991, the Black May massacre in 1992, and two interim governments. In 1993, Kim Young-sam was elected South Korea's president, the first civilian president in 30 years. In 1992, Chun Lik-pai became Thailand's elected prime minister. You see, back in the days, Thailand and South Korea's development almost mirrored each other. Back in the days, Thailand was shoulder to shoulder with South Korea. Okay, our shoulder was a bit lower, but it was close enough that we consider South Korea a competitor. Aside from political development, we were both emerging export-led economies, making affordable goods for the world, and also relying on aids and the goodwill of Big Brother, the US of A. South Korea was an Asian tiger economy. Thailand was becoming an Asian tiger economy. Then the 1997 financial crisis happened. But by the early 2000s, South Korea recovered and was set to take the world by storm. Thailand, love Thaksin Shinawatra, hate Thaksin Shinawatra, but Thailand's economy was doing well. Today, South Korea is among the giants of the world. Take a look at any indexes. Competitive index, living index, education index, corruption index, etc., etc., etc.
South Korea has seen in the last decade one of the most fascinating economic growths in the world, period officially known as the miracle on the Han River.
Thailand, well, it's a tragic comedy of nauseating proportion. The question then becomes, what happened? Here's what happened. While South Korea continued to develop, never looking back, Thailand had another military coup in 2006 and then in 2014. Eyes front and center, South Korea marched forward. Thailand, we kept looking back. We kept taking backward steps. We still do. In 2021, we are still asking for the most basic thing in this modern world, democracy. South Korea has had democracy for 30 years already. Why are the people out there in the street protesting? Because coup d'etats are keeping Thailand backward, and this government is the result of a coup d'etat. The coup that is the consequence of the generals dominating politics and society for decades. The coup that has put incompetent men in charge of this country. The coup by the people branding themselves as the defender of the national core values, nation, religion, king, Chat Sat Kasat. It's the year 2021, COVID-19 pandemic notwithstanding. South Korea continues to march forward. Meanwhile, we in Thailand are still running backward, away from tear gas and rubber bullets. What is the difference between South Korea and Thailand's development? There are many factors, one of which is this. 30 years ago, the generals of South Korea decided enough was enough. The Cold War was over. It's time to step back from politics and let the country embrace democracy and march forward. Today, on this very day, at this exact minute and second, the generals of Thailand are still insisting it's not enough. We haven't had enough. We want more. If you believe in Disrupt, please subscribe to our Facebook page at disrupt.co and become a supporter. It's only 169 baht per month. Otherwise, scan the QR code or use the Bangkok Bank account number 030-8190-859 Disrupt Media Company Limited to support us whenever you like and as much as you like. Your support matters.